Well, Owen, thanks very much for joining us. I guess first things first, how's the shoulder?
Yeah, the shoulder's good. I've been back training now for about 3 weeks with Middlesex. I'm doing my rehabilitation work with it. So hoping to be fit probably in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, and then it allows us probably about 3 weeks of a cushion over Christmas, New Year for the Pakistan series.
How frustrating has it been? It was a bit of a breakthrough year for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was, and we had a great year as a side. I mean, we've come a long way. We became the #1 test team in the world. Our 2020 cricket was peaking, and our one-day stuff had just started a new era with Alistair taking over, and he got his first series win under his belt. So it was a massive year in that regard, and again it was devastating to be injured and having to miss the back end of the season.
And obviously you missed a tough tour for England in India. I mean, 5-0. Watching that from afar, how frustrating was it to not be out there to be involved?
Yeah, I mean that particular series was very tough. You know what touring India is like, and the conditions out there are extremely different to anywhere else. And in the past we have struggled as a side out there. But again, we've quite a young side at the moment, and we're looking to build on a successful summer. And I mean, one series defeat is not going to peg us back too far, I don't think so.
A lot of people were saying though that your particular abilities of finding the gap, rotating the strike, and hitting boundaries, I mean, they seem to be lost without you, and to a certain extent. I mean, is that how it really was, do you think?
I certainly don't think so. I certainly don't think I lived that big of a hole in the side. But it's obviously nice to be missed at certain stages. But I mean, when I got injured, we'd won the 2020 game against India, and we went on to beat India 5-0. So I mean, we were peaking as a young developing side. But again, we got really tested while we were away. And looking from the outside in, I mean, we just lacked that bit of experience and composure at certain times during the innings and throughout the game.
Obviously, as you say, as a young side building towards 2015, I mean, how big a goal is that for you in particular? I mean, given that you started out in 50-over cricket for Ireland, I mean, it must be a big part of your game, full stop. The 50
yeah, it is, absolutely. And something I'm looking to obviously take to the next level and do particularly well. But sort of 2015, obviously we have one eye on that. And we do, in particular, we have a lot of time spent in the subcontinent over the next 12-18 months, so we're going to have to improve our cricket there as well. So I mean, we've got to mix and match both. We've a good group of young players at the moment, and obviously Alistair's taken over, which is brilliant. He's led the side really well. So hopefully we can build on that and again develop our skills under different situations and in different conditions.
And with that in mind, you're off to India on Thursday, I think it is.
That's right, yeah, I am. I'm off there for 9 days to do a little bit of a batting camp stint out there with the EPP, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, I've been out for nearly 3 months now with my shoulder, so I've got that cricket bug back now. I've been watching quite a lot of test matches, so yeah, I want to get back hitting balls.
How much of a part do you think you'll be able to play? Is your shoulder going to be up to batting yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've hit balls last week, so looking to take part fully while I'm out there.
And I was reading Graham Thorpe was talking about the various techniques that as batting coach he's going to be imposing on you, sort of reduced width bats and batting without pads, all that sort of thing. I mean, are you looking forward to some sore shins out there?
Yeah, no, I'm sure that won't be the case. But I mean, Thorpe always has new inventive things, and I mean, I've done a bit of work with him while I was with the Lions last year, and obviously as he's come into the England setup a bit more, he's been really valuable. So again, I enjoy working with him, and I can relate to him. Being a middle order left-handed player, I mean, he's a hell of a lot of experience that I can pick on.
I mean, clearly the point, I suppose, is to improve footwork against spin. I mean, that seems to be a strong point anyway, but as a rule, I mean, it did look as though England were a bit flat-footed on their last tour of England.
A small bit. I mean, you could take, when you're doing badly, you can take any part of your game and sort of over-analyse things to any degree at all. So, I mean, the important thing was we didn't get enough runs, we didn't bowl well in certain parts. I mean, it all sort of went wrong for us out there. So, I mean, there's a broader range of our cricket that we'll be looking to develop while we're out there. And again, particularly for myself, it'll be a matter of hitting volumes of balls, having been out for quite a while. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've been out there quite a lot, and I've done these camps before where you get a lot of balls hit in a number of days, and it's very valuable.
It was obviously a frustrating tour for England, as we said. I mean, Graham Swan said the other day that he wanted 50-over cricket to be binned, do away with it, stick to test and 20 overs. I mean, obviously, a lot of what he says you take in jest, but I mean, is there a part of the sort of England mentality, do you think, that would rather see concentrate on Test cricket?
I think there's a mentality of that in the public a lot, and a lot of our success is viewed as if we do well in Test match cricket, which I mean it's fair enough because it is the pinnacle for us. Everybody looks forward to it. We have a big viewing audience in England, so I mean to a certain aspect that's fine. But I mean we play a World Cup every 4 years, and we have aspirations to win the World Cup, and in order to do that we need to work really hard on improving our skills. So which means prioritising one-day cricket, as we have done with Test match cricket over the years, in thriving to be number one in the world and sort of be the best. So if we want to do that, we have to.
Another thing he said, which I thought was quite interesting, he said that he personally, as a bowler, didn't actually learn anything from 50-over cricket that he would take forward into the Test series against India in a few years' time. Is that something you relate to as a batsman? Obviously, you're going out to play subcontinental Test cricket this winter. I mean, it's a very different game, I suppose, as a batsman to subcontinental one.
Yeah, I think it is completely different as a batsman. I mean, obviously, you gain a lot of confidence from spending time at the crease, and in one-day cricket, you need to have all these shots, especially in the subcontinent. You have to be quite decisive in playing front or going all the way back, and you can use that in Test match cricket. So yeah, it is crucial for us to sort of take on board the experience that we have learned. Having whatever being beaten and stuff. I mean, it's often the most valuable lesson when you have actually been beaten quite convincingly. A lot of the guys while we were out in Australia during the Ashes, who had played in the previous Ashes where they got drubbed, said it was demoralising, but we learned a hell of a lot. We played against a much better team and took on board what they had to offer and used it. So I mean, it's often the case.
On a personal note, obviously, as we say, you started out in 50-over cricket as your forte. Now going into Test cricket, trying to really establish your mark in that form. What key aspects do you take across? I mean, what I mean is I remember that century you scored at Trent Bridge against Pakistan. The way in which you got yourself kick-started, I seem to remember, was finding gaps with unorthodox strokes that, again, created further gaps for you to score more runs. And I mean, to what extent does that ability to create the unusual angle actually help you to create more?
Yeah, it does. I think the crucial part of my game, which I take into the Test match arena, is sort of the positive way in which I go about playing. I find it kickstarts me. It makes me think in a different way as opposed to batting time rather than anything, and it gets me in that positive frame of mind, which can obviously be very valuable.
And now, of course, you are number one. You're going to be remaining number one thanks to South Africa not winning. So, you don't have to worry about losing your crown in the interim. But it's a big winter coming up, though, isn't it?
It's a huge winter, yeah. I mean, we've a huge stint of cricket coming up, and it'll be very important to start off on a good note. And I think Dubai is going to be the start of it, obviously. So, I mean, we've got to assess things out there. We expect batter-friendly wickets, pitches that might turn. So, again, we're looking forward to it.
And how settled and established do you feel in the Test team? Obviously, you didn't play in the Ashes. You got a century at Edgbaston, was a little bit overshadowed by Alistair Cook at the other end. I mean, how are you coming on in Test cricket? Yeah,
I feel as if I'm always learning, and it's going to be a long process in which it develops over however long it might be. But again, I feel as if the guys I'm playing with at the moment, I'm learning from them. They are the best in the world. I've been fortunate enough to play with guys like Cook, Strauss, Trott, Peterson, all these guys who are having a hell of a time at the moment. And again, learning from these day in, day out is going to improve my chances of doing well in Test match cricket.
And in the sort of personal stakes, I mean, are you starting to get recognised more on the street now that you're more established as an England player?
A small bit. Yeah, a small bit. It does happen, which is very strange, especially in England. The only place I've noticed it where it's actually quite relevant is India, because it's so popular over there. But it is, yeah, it's very strange.
And talking of India, I suppose you got another stint with Kolkata coming up in the spring. I mean, with the World 2020 coming up in September, I mean, that must be a crucial part of England's defence, I suppose.
Yeah, it will be, and certainly I will have another stint. It'll probably be shorter than last year's, but looking forward to it. I love playing in that situation. I mean, playing cricket in India is very different to anywhere else in the world. Everything's sort of, the pressure's piling on top of you. You're playing in front of huge crowds with an unbelievable atmosphere. So again, the learning part of that for me is huge, especially coming into our big summer. And then towards the end of the summer, obviously, we have our defence of our 2020 World Cup, which again will be challenging because it's in the subcontinent again. But again, we need to develop the skills that those guys are brought up with. I mean, like clearing the ropes, getting on with it in the middle period of whatever 7 to 14 overs. We'll have to adapt what we did in the West Indies to their conditions, which will be tough, but we'll be looking forward to it.
How tough is it going to be for you to prioritise your various forms? I mean, some guys like Alistair Cook doesn't play 20 overs. Andrew Strauss doesn't play that either. You, of course, seem to be integral to all three at the moment, and particularly in that weird period at the start of an English season. I mean, last summer, for instance, you were playing for Kolkata and then came home and got 190 at Derby to cement your Test credentials. I mean, it's a difficult balance to strike, isn't it?
I don't think you can. I think you've got to establish which is best for your game and sort of what's going to give you the best advantage coming into your season, or what series you're coming up to. You've got to weigh it up a small bit. But again, it's a matter of taking each series and each game as it comes, regardless if it's 2020 or Test matches. You've got to prepare in every individual's way. And
the switch over, I know players are used to having to change mentality, change mindset from game to game, but it must be tough to go from one ultimate extreme to the other.
Yeah, it is. But again, you learn to live with it. The biggest battle of it is mentally preparing yourself, which can often be tough because if you're going through a bad run of things, you can make quite a big deal of it. But obviously the ideal thing is to make that transition quite easily and make it not such a big mental barrier. So yeah.
What about your take on Test cricket at the minute? I mean, a lot of debate about where it stands in people's priorities. I mean, it had this strange scenario where Australia and South Africa only played 2 tests, and we're only playing 3 tests against South Africa next summer. I mean, as a guy who's qualified to play for England now, and Test cricket is obviously the big thing, as we've said, do you feel you're being a bit short-changed? Would you rather play more Test cricket? Or?
I think we play enough Test cricket as it is at the moment, and I mean we're in a position where we're quite fortunate to have big crowds at pretty much every Test match we play. Where the public enjoy watching Test match cricket. It is the pinnacle of our career, and it makes it quite a big deal over here. So I mean, I was as disappointed as anybody to see a fantastic game down in Johannesburg and absolutely nobody there watching it. I was devastated to see that. So I mean, as I said, we enjoy Test match cricket and are really fortunate that the crowds we do get, and I don't think it's quite a big problem in England. I think it's elsewhere they struggle to get venues filled as we would have 20 over or 50 over games. So the position it's in is quite a difficult one, and I think something needs to be done in the future for obviously the best.
And just finally, just talk a little bit about your captaincy credentials, because obviously you're one of the 5 men who captained England this summer against Ireland, of course, and I suppose you would have captained rather more if it hadn't been for your shoulder injury. I mean, did you enjoy your brief taste of the leadership?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it's something I've done growing up as a kid, and all the underage groups, and a couple of Middlesex games a couple of seasons ago. And again, that responsibility of taking everything on board and opening your eyes and everything to what's going on at the time. I mean, it's a good challenge, and the best part of it for me was giving 2 guys their debuts. I mean, their eyes lighting up. Them playing for their country, they've dreamed of it as a kid, and having the honour to tell them that they were playing was brilliant.
Because I understand you were interviewed via Skype for the role of 2020 vice captain originally. I mean, a strange process to go through. But what sort of questions were thrown at you when they were recruiting?
I don't think I'm allowed to chat about that. Although I think we were told not to chat about the interview.
Fair enough.
So no worries. Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's just interesting. The sort of Andy Flower, I think, has said he saw something in your tactical awareness and what have you that will really stand England in good stead going forward.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a group of guys that do take on board what's going on around them and are in a position to help the captain out given a certain situation. So I believe that I might have something to offer later down the road, and if it comes, absolutely brilliant. But my first and foremost priority is helping to win games of cricket for England.